That little boy needs to get saved like Jack Hyles needs to get saved. Another Jack Hyles will get saved.
Brother Hyles had John R. Rice at his church, and Brother Rice taught against tithing, and for the next 2 weeks, Brother Hyles had to teach everybody on tithing again because John R. Rice messed everybody up. How about Dr. Hyles? I'm not only going to defend Brother Hyles here. You let some other preacher criticize him in my presence. You're here because of Dr. Hyles. Hello. And this kind of church, and this kind of old-time religion, and this kind of right-wing fundamentalism is owed to Dr. Hyles.
Remember, Brother Hyles said, some woman told Brother Hyles, said, if I was married to you, I'd shoot you. And Brother Hyles said, I'd buy the gun if I was married to you. In March 1986, I sat in pastor school and heard Dr. Jack Hyles preach. He tore me up and down, man. Just cut me up and down and showed me that I was a hypocrite. I was doing nothing for God. And that's why I'm here, by the way, because I sat in pastor school with Jack Hyles.
Brother Hyles, when he was 50.
Jack Hyles said he's preaching one Sunday morning. Jack Hyles said come down real hard on Sunday. He said, the Bible said what?
Like old Jack Hyles. Old Jack Hyles used to say, he said, I really only have 2 hair.
Well, the Jim Lee looks at me and he said, hey, Charlie, he said, you one of Jack Hyles' boys. I said, you mean Dr. Hyles? He said, yeah, you know, Jack Hyles, man. I said, no. Preacher, pastor, or Dr. Hyles. But today in the cafeteria, I've never seen more loyalty in my whole life than Ron Charlie had for Dr. Jack Hyles.
Some of what I'm giving you tonight, I got from Dr. Jack Hyles.
Seems like just yesterday I was sitting in Hammond, Indiana, listening to my pastor, Dr. Jack Hyles, preach. I was challenged as a young preacher by the faith of my pastor, Dr. Jack Hyles. A man by the name of Dr. Jack Hyles. I remember when my pastor, Dr. Jack Hyles, was alive. I remember my pastor, Dr. Jack Hyles, said one time, several years ago, Brother Hyles was sitting in his office, and he said, Brother Donnelly, have you ever considered pastoring? But I'm telling you, Brother Hyles, the reason why he stood all those years to the day he died, didn't stray, is because of this right here. I was sitting down one day with Brother Hyles, and I said, Brother Hyles, this is years ago, I said, Brother Hyles, how do I determine who to preach for? And Brother Hyles, classic, what he did is he reached in his pocket, pulled out a 3x5 card.
Brother Hyles, you all write this down. Brother Hyles said in College Chapel one time.
Brother Hyles gave me this piece of advice, and here's what he said: never break stride.
Many times with Dr. Hyles, 22 years I've traveled with. If you were to shake Jack Hyles' hand, Jack Hyles, world's largest Baptist church, you know what Brother Hyles used to do? You ever stop and think about this? Brother Hyles used to say this, and I sat down and figured it out. If you remember, Brother Hyles would say that First Baptist Church only grew about 2.5 a Sunday.
God didn't love Jack Hyles any more than he does you.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Jack Hyles were here, I believe we could do something. Jack Hyles couldn't do more with you than what your preacher's doing with you.
Brother Hyles one time said, Jack Hyles, topical.
Brother Hyles used to say, man, I'm so competitive. He said, man, if I see 2 Beatles racing down there, I'll stop and watch them and cheer for one of them.
Dr. Hyles said, if you don't know what people give, you can preach at everybody the same.
Remember Dr. Hyles? Dr. Hyles was a rascal in a lot of ways. I would never tell some of the things that I did to Dr. Hyles.
I ran with Dr. Hyles. He said, you've got to give up your relationship with Jack Hyles. I said, well, I don't think that's going to happen. I studied Jack Hyles. I said, the first thing I want to do is I think we ought to praise God for all the heroes of the faith and all the ones we have today. In particular, we have Brother Hyles and all.
I said Jack Hyles. He said church builder. I didn't say a cuss word. I said Jack Hyles. I didn't say a cuss word. I said Jack Hyles.
I like to say Jack Hyles First Baptist Church, Hammond, Indiana.
You know, Dr. Hyles, I mean, he had the biggest church in the world and all that stuff.
I could say Dr. Hyles wouldn't like that, but they don't know Dr. Hyles.
Dr. Hyles was standing up for the King James Bible.
On Tuesday, I believe it was, I listened to Jack Hyles. Let me pause right there to see how many people lose their breath. Jack Hyles, didn't he do some bad things? I never saw him do no bad things. Did you? Then shut up.